Imagine stepping onto Martian soil for the first time. The rust-colored dust crunches beneath your boots. The sky is a pale butterscotch haze. The horizon curves just a little more sharply than you're used to, because this planet is smaller than the one you left behind. You're standing on another world, 225 million kilometers from everything you've ever known. Now imagine the moment it sinks in. You're never going home. Not because the rocket broke, not because the mission was cancelled, but because your own body, the body that carried you here, has already begun to betray you. And by the time you could even attempt the return trip, it will no longer be capable of surviving on Earth. This isn't speculation. This is biology. And in this video, we're going to walk through exactly why the first humans who travel to Mars will almost certainly have to stay there forever. Let's get one thing clear from the start. The biggest obstacle to returning from Mars isn't engineering. It isn't fuel or funding or launch windows. It's the human body. We are exquisitely fine-tuned for life on Earth. Every bone, every muscle fiber, every heartbeat is calibrated to one specific planet with one specific gravitational pull. Remove us from that environment for long enough, and the calibration breaks. Permanently. A Mars mission isn't a 6-month ISS rotation. The minimum realistic timeline is 2 to 3 years. 6 to 9 months flying there, roughly 18 months on the surface, waiting for the planets to realign. Then another 6 to 9 months flying back. And during every single day of that mission, the astronaut's body is deteriorating in ways that become, past a certain point, irreversible. Mars sits about 225 million kilometers from Earth on average. During a favorable opposition, when both planets line up on the same side of the Sun, that shrinks to roughly 55 million kilometers. If you drove at highway speed without stopping, it would take over 60 years to cover that gap. Almost an entire human lifetime just to arrive. Spacecraft travel faster, of course, but even with our best chemical rockets, the trip takes 6 to 9 months each way. That's over a year of total flight time inside a pressurized metal capsule. And during those months, there is no gravity. None. Your body floats. And your body interprets that weightlessness not as freedom, but as a signal to shut down the systems it thinks you no longer need. On Earth, gravity is the invisible trainer your body works against every second. Standing, walking, even sitting upright. Your bones and muscles stay strong because they have to. It's a demand-driven system. Remove that demand, and the body does something ruthlessly efficient. It begins recycling what it no longer needs. Bone loss in microgravity occurs at roughly 1 to 2% per month. After 6 months, an astronaut can lose up to 12% of their bone density. After a year, potentially 24%. And this damage concentrates in the bones you need most on a planet. The hips, the spine, the femurs. The weight-bearing structures that keep you upright. For context, a 70-year-old woman with severe osteoporosis has typically lost about 30 to 40% of her bone mass. That deterioration took decades. A healthy astronaut in their 30s can approach those numbers in under 2 years. The mechanism is insidious. The body detects unstressed bones and slows formation while accelerating resorption. The calcium from your dissolving skeleton gets excreted through your kidneys, dramatically increasing the risk of kidney stones in an environment where medical care is extremely limited. Muscles follow the same trajectory. Without gravity, leg muscles, back muscles, and core muscles atrophy fast. The fibers themselves change type, shifting from slow endurance fibers to fast twitch fibers that fatigue quickly. Astronauts on the ISS exercise 2 hours every single day with specialized resistance equipment. They still lose mass. They can slow the decline. They cannot stop it. Here's the catch. The ISS is only 400 kilometers above Earth, practically a stone's throw in cosmic terms. Astronauts spend 6 months there, and when they return, many can barely walk. They need to be carried from the capsule. Recovery takes weeks, sometimes months, and some never fully regain their original bone density.
Ever. That's after 6 months with constant ground support and the knowledge that rescue is always possible. Now multiply that timeline by 4 or 5. Remove the ground support. Remove any hope of early return. That's a Mars mission. And the body doesn't know you're coming back. It just keeps dismantling itself month after month with mechanical indifference. But weightlessness isn't the only threat. There's something worse. Something you can't see, can't feel, and absolutely cannot escape. Cosmic radiation. On Earth, our magnetic field and atmosphere shield us. You absorb about 3 millisieverts of radiation per year. On the ISS, that jumps to roughly 150, still within Earth's magnetosphere. In deep space, that protection vanishes entirely. Galactic cosmic rays, heavy ions and protons from exploding stars across the galaxy pass through spacecraft walls like they aren't there. These aren't gentle photons. They're particles traveling at significant fractions of the speed of light. They penetrate skin, muscle, bone, and brain. They shatter DNA strands with every impact. Estimates for total radiation on a Mars round trip range from 900 to over 1,200 millisieverts. NASA's career limit is 600. A single Mars mission would blow past that limit before the crew even reached the planet. And the damage is cumulative and irreversible. Unlike a sunburn that heals, radiation damage to DNA builds up over time. Every particle hit adds to the total. Your cells try to repair the breaks, but they can't keep pace with the bombardment. Over months and years, errors accumulate. Mutations stack on top of mutations. Cancer risk climbs towards statistical certainty over a long enough timeline. But cancer isn't even the most immediate concern. Recent research suggests cosmic radiation causes measurable cognitive decline. Memory problems, slower reaction times, impaired decision-making. The very faculties you'd need most when a single mistake could kill everyone aboard. We can't shield against it effectively either. Thicker walls generate secondary radiation, sometimes more dangerous than the original particles. It's a problem without a clean solution. Now the organ that keeps everything else alive, your heart. On Earth, your heart pumps blood upward against gravity, roughly 100,000 times a day. That constant effort keeps it strong. In microgravity, that resistance vanishes, so the heart adapts, which is a clinical way of saying it shrinks. Studies show astronauts' hearts can lose up to 20% of their mass during long missions. Blood redistributes too. Without gravity, fluid pools in the head and chest. The body interprets this as excess and dumps fluid. Blood volume drops by up to 20%. The heart adjusts to this lighter workload, becoming a smaller pump for a smaller system. The problem arrives the moment gravity returns. That shrunken heart suddenly has to push blood upward at full force, with a fraction of its former strength and significantly less blood to work with. The result is orthostatic intolerance, severe dizziness, plummeting blood pressure, fainting. Some ISS astronauts literally cannot stand after 6 months. They have to be caught by recovery teams the moment they exit the capsule. After a 2 to 3 year Mars mission, the deconditioning would be far more severe. The heart wouldn't just struggle, it might not sustain consciousness in Earth gravity at all. A pump that spent years adapting to reduced demand suddenly asked to perform at full capacity in a world 3 times heavier than the one it remembers. Add radiation-induced atherosclerosis, hardened and calcified arteries, and you have a cardiovascular system that simply cannot function on Earth. You might think that's the worst of it. It isn't. In microgravity, fluid pressure in the skull rises and pushes on the back of the eyeball, physically changing its shape. The eyeball flattens, the optic nerve swells, the retina distorts. Some astronauts return from 6-month ISS missions needing corrective lenses they didn't need before. Others experience changes that never fully reverse. And the longer the mission, the more time the pressure has to do its work. On a multi-year trip, the concern isn't just blurry vision. It's potential permanent damage to the optic nerve itself. Damage that no pair of glasses can fix. And then there's the brain. Animal studies using simulated cosmic radiation show significant neurological damage, chronic inflammation in brain tissue, loss of dendritic spines, the tiny branch-like structures neurons use to communicate with each other. Fewer spines means fewer connections, slower thinking, weaker memory. The behavioral effects are striking. Increased anxiety, impaired spatial learning, reduced ability to distinguish between familiar and novel environments. These are exactly the cognitive functions you'd rely on most when navigating an alien world. We don't have long-term human data from deep space because no human has ever spent years beyond Earth's magnetosphere. But the animal models paint a troubling picture. And we have no reason to believe humans would be exempt. So let's take stock. Before an astronaut even sets foot on Mars, they've spent 6 months losing bone, muscle, and heart mass. Their eyes may have changed shape. Their DNA is accumulating radiation damage. Their cognitive sharpness may be dulling. You might think, okay, at least on Mars they have some gravity. 38% of Earth's. That has to help, right? Here's where it gets truly sobering. Martian gravity is 1/3 of Earth's. For a 70-kilogram person, it would feel like weighing about 27 kilograms. It sounds almost liberating, but no human has ever lived in partial gravity for an extended period. The only data we have is from 2 extremes, 0G on the ISS and 1G on Earth. Everything in between is an enormous question mark. What scientists suspect is that 0.38 grams is probably insufficient to maintain Earth-adapted bone density and muscle mass. It might slow the decline compared to 0G, but slow is not stop. Think about it. On Earth, you weigh what you weigh because gravity demands it. Your skeleton is built to that specification. On Mars, the demand drops by 62%. Your body registers that reduced load and continues shedding what it perceives as excess structure. The bones keep thinning. The muscles keep weakening. The heart keeps adapting to less work, just more slowly than in 0G. 18 months of this. 18 months of your body quietly recalibrating itself for a lighter world. Then comes the return flight. Another 6 to 9 months in zero gravity after everything that came before. By the time the capsule reaches Earth, the astronaut's body has spent 3 continuous years in reduced or absent gravity. The cumulative damage is staggering. When that capsule touches down, the astronaut experiences 1G for the first time in nearly 3 years. Full terrestrial gravity. The force their body was designed for, but has spent years systematically forgetting how to handle. Bones that have lost 40 or 50% of their density could fracture under the simple act of standing. The heart, weakened and shrunken, would struggle to push blood against gravity. The astronaut might lose consciousness within seconds of trying to stand. Their muscles, atrophied and reconfigured for a third gravity world, would buckle under their own Earth weight. Imagine that. Years of travel, billions of dollars, the most ambitious mission in human history, and the astronaut can't stand up when they get home. This isn't exaggeration, it's extrapolation from real ISS data extended across a timeline 3 to 5 times longer. And every data point we have suggests the same conclusion. So why can't we solve this? The honest answer, we're trying. But the solutions are either inadequate or decades away. Exercise helps, but doesn't eliminate the problem. ISS astronauts train vigorously every day and still return weakened. You can't outrun biology with a treadmill when the fundamental input, gravity, is missing. Artificial gravity through spacecraft rotation would require a structure at least 50 meters in radius to avoid severe motion sickness. Building and spinning something that size in space is far beyond anything we've attempted. Drugs to slow bone loss are being researched but remain unproven for multi-year missions. Radiation shielding adds mass that demands more fuel, and the rocket equation is unforgiving. We don't currently have a technology, or a combination of technologies, that can keep the human body Earth-ready during a 3-year Mars mission. We have concepts, we have research programs. We do not have answers. Not yet. And this is where the conversation shifts from biology to philosophy. If returning from Mars is biologically impractical, perhaps even lethal, then every crewed Mars mission becomes a one-way trip. Not by choice, because physics and biology demand it. The first humans to walk on Mars will need to accept, before they ever launch, that they are not coming back. That the red dust they step onto will be the ground beneath their feet for the rest of their lives. Their bones will become Martian bones. Their hearts will become Martian hearts. Their bodies will adapt to a world with 1/3 of Earth's gravity, and in doing so, will lose the ability to function in the world they came from. It's a strange kind of sacrifice, not dramatic or instantaneous, not a single heroic moment. It's slow, quiet, cellular. Every day on Mars, the body drifts a little further from Earth, not in kilometers, in capability. And at some point, a threshold is crossed, a point of no return that has nothing to do with fuel or orbital mechanics. It's written in the density of their bones, the strength of their heart, the integrity of their DNA. There is something deeply humbling about this. We can build rockets to cross interplanetary space. We can design habitats for an alien world. But we cannot undo 4 billion years of evolution in a few decades. Our bodies are Earth's bodies, forged by its gravity, shaped by its atmosphere, sheltered by its magnetic field. Take that away, and the body transforms. It becomes something adapted to a different world. And in becoming Martian, it ceases to be fully terrestrial. The first humans on Mars won't just be explorers. They'll be settlers, pioneers who understood that the price of touching another planet was letting go of this one. Maybe that's the cost of reaching further than we were built to reach. Maybe every great leap requires something left behind. I hope you enjoyed this video.
If it gave you something to think about, I'd really appreciate your support. See you next time.